Good morning. Good morning. I know you had that coffee and that breakfast and whatever you was going to eat. Let me put out a disclosure, okay? If you're going to comment on the video, leave a doggone comment. Don't leave none of your sexually suggested fake videos on my page. I'm telling you straight up. I will report you to YouTube. I ain't got no problem with that. If you're going to leave a comment, leave a damn comment. Not some VON dot whatever. You want to do your little freaky deaky things or your little cyber things, go do it somewhere else, man. We're trying to be serious. And I know who you are because I'll find out. And I'll limit your access on the YouTube. Keep playing with me. I'm nothing to be played with. Now, back to some serious things. Yesterday, I started Taser or pistol. And they had an interview yesterday with the aunt, Dante Wright. And she held up a picture of a taser and a Glock 17, which is to point out this. First of all, we want to give thanks to the Heavenly Father and all his angels. Guide my tongue, guide my mind. Thank you. 26 years. In 26 years on any job, you should have either mastered in some form how to do that job or came close. Or basically, you should be heading towards retirement. I'm going to talk about two police officers. I'm going to talk about one in Buffalo, New York. The story, and I'm going to pause this 1 minute. We'll get some background. Thank you. Sister Carol Horn, got to give it to you, baby girl, who had to sue to get her job back because she did the right thing. She was on patrol with her partner. Her partner put a suspect in the chokehold, which the Buffalo Police Department, the New York State, had outlawed the chokehold. Remember this now. They outlawed the chokehold. You can't use that no more. She saw her partner putting a suspect in the chokehold, a alleged suspect. She went into action, stopped him, pushed him away, say, hey, man, what are you doing? Get off of him. Back off. Well, she worked for the Buffalo Police Department for 20 years. 20 years. Sister Horn was fired. Said she was fired for insubordination. Hmm. Well, Sister Horn had to fight tooth and nail to get her job back so she can get her pension. She earned it. Well, the judge ruled a few days ago that said, hey, you weren't wrong in doing your job. You'll be rewarded your job back and you'll be able to retire and get your pension. Now, here's a woman who stood up and did her job. But it's a little bit different because she was a black woman. Now, Sandra Potter, white cop, 26 years on the force. Now, Carol Horn had already did this. Carol Horn had did her 20 years. And they denied her. Sandra Potter, a little bit different. She worked her way up. She was a training officer. Training officer. She also just became in 2019 the president of her local police union. Okay. Now, Brooklyn Park is basically a suburb of Minneapolis, St. Paul. It's like Silver Spring here in DC or Bethesda in DC, kind of like out. And basically, this department had this ain't the first run in this department has had with people of a different shade, but this one right here kind of hits real. It stinks to high heaven. You pull a young man over, Dante Wright, for an air freshener. Get this folk an air freshener. I mean, it's illegal in Minnesota to have an air freshener now. People used to have the little Crown air fresheners in the back of their car and different type of air fresheners. Well, you can't have that in the state of Minnesota, obviously. And when they pulled him over, they ran his tags, which his parents had just got him that car to go to work. And they came up with this thing, well, he had expired tags. Well, no expired tags. His parents just got him the car that would have been paper tags. He had a misdemeanor warrant. Wasn't even an arrest warrant. When people noticeably they see warrant on something, they go, oh my God. It's not really a oh my God. It's just that you have a warrant. You have something that you need to attend to. It could be a paternity warrant. It could be a traffic warrant. But normally the police officer usually say, man, you need to go take care of that. Now, they may arrest you. And if you have pretrial wherever you are, most likely they'll say, okay. When they give you a release orders, they're going to tell you, okay, go take care of whatever you need to go take care in 24 hours. You know, even if they want to waste the paperwork in arresting you. The young man had no gun on him. He had no weapon on him or anything else. And if you clearly look in the video, I mean, hey, he was like, well, yo, they followed the young man for a while. He wanted to pull over in a well-populated area. So if anything jumped off, you can see that. All this to serve a young man, another young man, black man is dead from a police stop. Which, unless you've gotten something on the radio stating that this person is armed and dangerous, that person should be able to leave. You know, it should be able to, in the result of that person living that day. If the FBI thing doesn't come, if the FBI report doesn't come back armed and dangerous, there's no need for somebody to die on a traffic stop. Not at all. So anyway, Officer Potter would have Mr. Wright, you know, trying to handcuff him and trying to get him to a certain point, trying to stop him from getting into the car. She yells, "Taser, taser," which to deploy a taser or not deploy a taser. Now, if the young man was going for one of y'all service weapons, or it's hard to do when you got somebody got your hands behind your back. It's hard to go for anything. If he was getting to the point where, and this is where it comes with the force necessary. This is where we're going to have people like Deputy Dog Brandon Tatum come in. Although he was on the Tucson Police Department in Tucson, Arizona, he's the greatest expert on policing that's ever been. Well, I have a lot of other friends who are in law enforcement as well, who have retired from law enforcement, will say it varies. They say if he's a threat or whatever, then you handle the threat with the amount of force necessary. But she's yelling, "Taser, taser." Now, police departments have put out an SOP where your taser should be on your non dominant hand. That means if you're right handed, your service weapon should be on your dominant hand. I'm right handed, so if I have my service weapon, it would be on my right hip. Your taser should be on a non dominant hand because it's the lighter of the two. You can tell. Weight. If you're good enough, you should know if even if I'm blindfolded or my vision gets impaired, I can feel which one is which. And if you looked at the video, you'll see which hand was out, the dominant hand. So what is on the dominant side? I'll tell you what's on the dominant side. Excuse me. Her service weapon is on the dominant side. That's what's on the dominant side. Her service weapon. Excuse me. Her service weapon is on the dominant side. She pulls her service weapon. Now, how are you going to pull your service weapon and say taser, taser, when it's clearly that you have your Glock 17 in your hand? And you proceed to kill this young man. Now, I don't know if you had the malicious intent or to kill this man. I don't know if this was your intent to either tase the young man or shoot the young man, which you really didn't have to do neither. You got two police officers that's got him. If those two police officers could not handle that young man, and this all goes back to training. These officers are trained to do a job that, let's just be honest, it's a dangerous job. And you have to make decisions, split second decisions every day. I salute the men and women who put on their uniform and do that. I do. Just like I salute the people who serve their country. But right is right and well, wrong is just straight up wrong. When you do something that is right there egregious and pretty much deadly, then somebody got to take accountability. They have to. Now I understand his aunt's pain and anger. You said, well, manslaughter. Well, pretty much that's the only thing they could pretty much charge her with, or negligent homicide. Which negligent homicide? Homicide is the killing of another human being, whether it was justifiable, whether it's negligent, or whether it was just straight up you shot that person, or you killed that person. I'm sorry. Whether you just straight up kill that person, but homicide is the killing of another human being. Whether you intended to do it, whether you was negligent in doing something you were doing and it resulted in death, or whether you just say, you know what, I'm straight up blasting this person. But here, yes, she resigned and she was charged with manslaughter. It's allegedly that she committed manslaughter. She was arraigned. She was booked and arraigned yesterday or day before yesterday. I think, yeah, on Wednesday. So she's just going to wait for her day in court. Meanwhile, while she's waiting for her day in court, the Wright family is going to be planning for a funeral, which so many Black families have had to do. Get ready for a funeral, which goes down to me is training. Let's get back to Miss Potter's career. 26 years, and she was a training officer. So as a training officer, you should know what to do in certain situations. I don't care how hectic it gets. You should be the cool ice cucumber. You should know that, like I said, you should know you should be able to close your eyes. Taser, gun. Taser, gun. You should be able to do that. It's the same thing what happened in Louisville. You get all these so-called police experts say, well, they entered, well, what I seen is they entered the building. Whereas the people in Louisville said, in that apartment building said, no one said police when they knocked on Breonna, when they kicked in Breonna Taylor's door. They were going on an old expired information. The guy that supposedly hid the drugs and the money in Breonna Taylor's apartment, was locked up. Breonna Taylor had nothing to do with that dude anymore. She was with her new boo or her fiance. She had already, there was nothing there. When they searched the apartment, they found no evidence of drugs, guns, or money, or anything else in there. Nobody was in there but Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend. So I don't care, all you police experts, you can break this down or whatever. But they do an exercise called shoot or no shoot. I know they do. I've seen the exercise. Shoot or no shoot. Or deploy a taser. What do you do in this situation? You've been trained. So to all the experts, I don't want to hear that bull. Sing that song to somebody who want to hear it. Come with the truth. You abandoned your training. What you saw is what Officer Yanez saw in St. Paul when he killed Philando Castile. What you saw is what the officer saw in Ohio when Tamir Rice was killed and John Crawford was killed. You saw that little target that comes up and you see that black man on that target. Shoot. Oh my God, Negro with a gun. Shoot. Tamir Rice running around playing like any other 12-year-old would play. Got a toy gun. You ain't seen no smoke coming out of that gun. You see any smoke coming out of that gun? You see anything deployed out of that gun? No, it's a toy gun. Kid playing in the park with a toy gun. You didn't even say freeze, get on the ground, nothing. I'd rather for you say, hey, get on the ground and kicked it away from him. At least Tamir Rice would be alive now. I'd have said if you busted into the Walmart where John Crawford was killed, knowing that Ohio is an open carry state, and you would have found out what type of weapon he had, there was no way he had access to ammunition because he was looking at an air pistol that was hanging on the shelf at Walmart. Walmart sells guns. They do sell those weapons in Walmart. But if it was such a big scare, then why did somebody say, hey man, there's a dude in there? Why didn't the security go down there and check it out? But John Crawford's dead now. And those officers are still on the force. You see, I have nothing against the police at all because 90% of them do their job. They keep the peace. But it's that percentage, that 10% of them who go above and beyond in the wrong way. And then you have those wannabe cops like George Zimmerman who think that they are the cops when really you are not who you're supposed to be. Then we have the Derek Chauvins in the world who just say, hey, look, we just gonna do that old school slave catcher type job. But Carol Horn, who stepped up and said, you know what, we're gonna do this the right way, loses her job, while Manny Moe and Jack, who watched Derek Chauvin put his knee on George Floyd's neck until he died. And then in the trial, they bring some old fake medical examiner who said, well, could have been carbon dioxide in his lungs that caused to gaseous asphyxiation. No, it was a knee on his freaking neck for almost 10 minutes that killed George Floyd. We all saw it. He could have easily, and everybody that testified said that is not what we do as police officers. That is not a part of training. George Floyd was not going to offer any resistance laying on his stomach with his hands with handcuffs on. What you should have did is picked him up, put him in the car, took him down, and had him booked, and then take it from there. We wouldn't be talking about this. But Derek Chauvin decided that, I am the law and you ain't. Carol Horn stepped up and said, you know what? This is not going to stand. You're not going to do this. You had two officers who were there with Miss Potter who said, hey, we got him. We got him. We got him. We got him. My man, Muhammad Samoa, he's doing 12 years, and he was a Minneapolis cop. 12 years for an accidental shoot. 12 years. But the only thing about it is that the victim that he killed was white. Now, the defense, all they have to do is get one juror with somewhat some doubt. And we will see the same thing that happened to Officer Yanez and that happened to the officers that killed John Crawford, the officers that killed Alton Sterling. They're going to get cleared. People say we need police reform. I said, no. What we need to do is do what Maryland just did. Maryland just overrode a veto by Governor Hogan giving police protection in these things. Other words, the state of Maryland said, look, you just like any other citizen. If you commit a crime, you're going to be prosecuted, just like everybody else. You're not going to get that immunity anymore. You're not going to get that get out of jail free card anymore. No. You're going to be held accountable for your actions. Since everybody else doesn't want to make you responsible and accountable, we will. And I think it's a good thing. I think it will keep the regular citizens as well as the police on their toes. And I think it should be that's the reform you want to. The police reform bill that Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina didn't include that. He was coming up with all these other little things that didn't amount to anything. They need to be responsible and accountable for their actions. Because we have to give an account to God for what we did. You might not give an account to humans, but you definitely gonna give an account to your creator. So why does a police officer or any law enforcement official gets to be above the law? No, no, no. You are not above the law. You are enforcing. Not at all. You are not above the law that you are enforcing. If anything, you should know better, as we say. You know better, you do better. You know if and do if not, you be whipped with a many stripes. And some of these officers ain't getting no stripes put on them at all, except when they promote them. That's the only stripes they get. You got to be more careful. And the sad part about it is black mothers and black fathers have to still give the talk to their children. Remember when you drive and make sure you have all your ID, make sure everything's straight. Make sure you do everything that that police officer tells you to do verbatim. Make sure that you don't sneeze, you don't shrug your shoulders, you don't make any movements. If you got to go to the bathroom or whatever, urinate on yourself. Do whatever, but don't make no moves, or you won't make any moves anymore. Hey, man, that's pretty much what it is. That's what it is. That's what it's down to be. And the prosecution has rested in the Chauvin trial, and it goes to the jury, which is not sequestered. A jury that's going to leave that courthouse and going to run right into the brunt of the Brooklyn Park protest. And that's going to weigh a lot. Now we're going to see if Derek Chauvin is going to be the guilty or not guilty, which he has his day in court, which the Constitution grants him the right to a fair trial among his peers, and he's gotten that. So all we can do is stay tuned. But to the right family, prayers up from me, and I hope and I pray that God comforts you in your time of bereavement, because there's no way a 20-year-old man should be leaving this earth that quick. Heck, I turned 53 yesterday, and I can't even imagine that. But I know what the young man's feeling. That's why I said I ain't empathize, I sympathize. I know I've been in that position. But by the grace of God, I'm still here to do this video. But let me know what you think. Send me comments, real comments, not something from your little freaky deaky collection, but I want real comments from real people. I appreciate it. Talk to you later.